vultures on the mail to begin the applications. It's very stressful for colleges. You also control how well you articulate who you are and what you care about. What you can't control is the competition for admission at a given place or your chances. So it's easier said than done, but all of us would do well to worry about the things we control rather than the things we don't, and I hope you will try to do that in this process. To close, it happens in the best of families. All right, let me repeat that. It happens in the best of families. What is it? Tension between students and parents during the college process. Now, sure it won't happen to anybody in this room, but it does happen. I can tell you stories. I had a student many years ago when I first started as a counselor who was applying to Princeton. The deadline was January 1. It was like December 26th. She was supposed to fly to the West Coast to visit cousins and got in a fight with her mother over the fact that she hadn't finished her essay. Her mother falsely believed that Princeton she would have a better chance of admitting the earlier her application got in, which is not true. Now, what made that fight difficult is it happened in a car on Interstate 64 in the middle of the Hampton Roads tunnel. I think they stopped and got into it. I would urge, that's probably a bit extreme, but understand there's tension there. I believe ultimately the decision should be made by the student because he or she is the one who's going to live with it, with help from the adults. Mom and Dad, there's going to be a cold morning in November of your son or daughter's freshman year. They're going to wake up early and have class. It might be raining, it might be cold, and they're going to ask themselves, how did I end up here? When that happens, you want the answer, and the only answer to be, because you chose it. Students, I urge you, share this decision with your parents. Take advantage of their wisdom, experience, and wisdom, and communicate. All they want is what's best for you, and if they see you taking charge of this process, they will support you totally. There's going to be a day in your freshman year when you're either going to call home or text or whatever the technology is by that point, and your message is going to be, send money. When that happens, you want them to feel good about sending the money because they know you've made a thoughtful choice and that you're making the most of the place. The college process is a way, it can be a time of growing apart into a new relationship as son or daughter gets older and more mature, but it's also a time of growing together. I hope you're looking forward to this process. It won't always be easy, but few of the things in life that are worth anything are easy. And last, I want to return to this notion of the journey. When you take a journey, there are two things that are important. One is be aware of your destination. You don't want to miss your stop, you don't want to miss your exit. But you also don't want to be so focused on your destination that you miss the scenery. So enjoy this experience while you're in it. It will be not always easy, but it's going to be a good experience for you. I guarantee you right now that those of you who are seniors, you are better prepared for this process than I was when I was a high school senior, and I'm betting that most of the adults in this room, you can do this. Thank you.
Okay, we have a few minutes for questions, so we're going to invite up the Counselor Jim Rixey now to take some questions. And
yeah, he didn't mean questions just for me, but I'm sort of going to MC it. Questions for either Mr. Jump or Mr. Humphreys or for us as counselors. We do have a few minutes. If you have any, give me a minute to think about that while you folks there. Go ahead. So the question was, do college reps come for multiple visits? Generally, each college is going to visit once per year. They're not going to come back multiple times in multiple years. In most cases, the reps have a territory to cover, and they have a cycle where they hit each school in their territory. So, but on the other hand, most college admissions reps are also available by email, or in some cases, there's ways to ask questions of the university to follow up on that. Yes. The question was in terms of the transcript. That's right. If you're applying early action, early decision, it's going to be based on the grades through junior year. They're not going to get you're right. The decision will be made before they get the mid-year grades, unless the decision is to defer you, in which case they're saying they want to wait and see what those mid-year grades say. Yeah. Right, if the student's first deadline is November 15th or before, then the college packet is supposed to be to the counselor tomorrow in order to give time for the recommendation to be written. That's correct. So is your question about what if it's November 15 exactly? Oh, my impression is we want it tomorrow. If that's not what it says, then it could be ambiguous. But the student could just see the counselor if they need a little more time to do it. That's fine. Other questions? You have Mr. Jump here. Other questions for him? Mr. Humphries? Oh, last one. Okay. Where?
Well, I could bellow. What if, okay, so your child applies early decision, early action. You've got your paperwork in, but they don't get in early decision, early action. So you need a second strategy, because you find out December 15th. Should you already have your second strategy in by November 1st when you guys need the second tranche? Or what if?
Well, the main key is when the first deadline is, because it's for the first deadline the counselor is going to write the student's recommendation letter.
Okay.
So, and that's why we need such a long turnaround time, between due tomorrow from November 1st. Once the recommendation letter is written, we need a much shorter turnaround time just to get a transcript prepared and a mailing sent out. So, so there can be a much shorter turnaround time.
I think many of you would like to leave, and thank you for staying. So I was going to say a couple of things, and then invite you to stay if you'd like to ask us any questions. And one thing I'd like to talk about, and my name is Cindy Blakely, is the nag factor. And I think you probably know I'm one of you, so I'm pretty good nag, and I'm sure many of you are to your students as well. Here's what I'd like you to consider, both students and parents. Make some agreements, and figure out when you're going to work on these applications and what the deadline is that's internal, like a family internal deadline. And here's really one great example of why I say that. I had a young lady who was a very strong student. What she didn't count on was getting the flu. And I came in over the winter break that year to make sure I got all of her stuff in, and she was highly apologetic. And she had it all together, but she got the flu. And that you cannot plan on, and I'm asking you now, make agreements, students and parents, and then you won't have to keep asking. Your nagging rate will go way down because you'll already have that agreed upon. We want to thank you for being here. I was lucky enough to be a counselor here for 5 years. The best letters I wrote were the kids I knew the best. It is not too late if you or your child doesn't know his or her school counselor. We want to get to know them. And the best way is to let us know, what are you doing after school? Are you involved here? Invite them to come see you in an area that's outside of the classroom, or come in and visit. We really want that. We really welcome it. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. Oh, I do want you to know the freshman football team did win. And yes, absolutely. So we're going to let those of you who want to leave, but we invite you to stay if you have questions, and we just ask you to move closer to the front. All right, thanks so much. Have a trip. Oh, survey.
There's a 3-question survey. If you want to give your feedback on tonight, you just go right now, do it on your phone. Google DCM College Career Center.